We've just had the qualifying for the Baku Grand Prix, and what an eventful qualifying session we had. Another 2 red flags in this session. It's like we've just started where we left off in Australia. The first one caused by Nick De Vries. He just absolutely braked super late, went straight on into the barrier. Made a real mess of that Alpha Tauri, that one. And then it was followed by Pierre Gasly, not too different from Nick De Vries. He took too much into the corner, made more of the corner though, and just swiped to the rear on the exit. And that was it. That was their qualifying session done. Kevin Magnussen, who's so that will be see them De Vries 20th, Gasly 19th, only because Gasly crashed just after Nick De Vries did at the start of that first Q1 session, and that meant quite an extended break, and then it was everybody in a rush to get out with there's only about 7 or 8 minutes to go. Carlos Sainz at that point had a really scruffy session, and he was very lucky to not knock himself out. He took a spin, and that would have been seeing him last also, and very lucky for Carlos Sainz on that one. But there we go, he got away with it, lived to fight another day, and that's the way it just seemed in this session. It was one of them, like, just make it to the end and you'll get a decent result. Unfortunately for Kevin Magnussen though, that wasn't quite to be the case. He had gearbox or issues with the car even before the start of Q1. They couldn't really get on top of it. They thought they could have fixed it with the 2 red flags and had enough time to get on top of it, but that didn't quite happen. And sadly they had to stop him and called him in, and that was a P18 for Kevin Magnussen. Nico Hulkenberg rounded off a poor start of the qualifying poor start of the weekend for Haas. He qualified in 17th place. Yeah, disappointing for Haas. They've done really well so far this season, especially Hulkenberg. He found himself into Q3, so he'll be really disappointed and unsure where the pace has gone in that Haas. Next came Zhou Guanzu, and he missed out by 0.20 from P15. But the star of that session was Lando. Norris got into P7 and Alex Albon up into P8. The Williams again showing strong pace down the straights. And it was Leclerc who topped that session, followed by Verstappen and then Alonso. But it did seem a bit skewed because Leclerc did actually run a lap right towards the end of the session where there's more grip on track compared to Verstappen. So I kind of still expected the Red Bull to be on top. And then into Q2, pretty straightforward session this one. Logan Sargent did well up into P15, the Williams improving after the break. Bottas up into P14, the first time he's beat his teammate in a session so far this season. And then came Alex Albon in 13th. He was really disappointed and angry actually, because he felt like he was blocked by Carlos Sainz on one of his runs and felt like he had enough to possibly even get out of Q3. I've not really seen any footage or anything of that, or how quite bad that the block was there. And then Ocon in 12th. Disappointing for Alpine. They've been way down. And then the shock really was George Russell going out in P11. And both Mercedes really right at the back. Lewis Hamilton only got P10 in that session. About 8 tenths off. They've dropped off. Considering he was third back out in Australia, to be so far back in qualifying this weekend, I'd be really disappointed. Not sure where the pace has gone in that Mercedes. And it was Zhou Guanzu who pulled off a brilliant P7 in that session. He was the star of the session there, but it was a really bad performance from George in that Mercedes of P11. Verstappen topped the timesheet P1. It looked like he'd been mega all weekend, and throughout the sessions he just looked like he had enough pace in that. But it was Leclerc that split the 2 Red Bulls. That Ferrari showing fight again, so there's hope and a chance that maybe there's enough in that Ferrari. They were about 2 tenths in that Q2 session behind the Red Bull, and then it was Perez in 3rd in the Q2 session. And then we got to the crucial Q1 session, and it was a brilliant start to the Q1. Max Verstappen went out first, set a lap time. Charles Leclerc came in exactly the same lap time around the whole circuit. It was absolutely brilliant, and that was what really set the session up to be really quite intense, and was to show like would Ferrari really have enough pace to really bring the fight up to the Red Bulls. But it was another same lap times for Oscar Piastri in P10 and 9th for Stroll. Again, Stroll set that lap time before Piastri, but they again set exactly the same time, them two on this circuit. It's odd that how that happens. You know, it feels like there's almost a glitch in the timing screen. You know, we've seen two at the front happen and then two at 10 and 9 exactly the same times, but there we are. And it was a solid performance from Yuki up into P8. He did get to P7 right at the end, but Norris came round and pipped him back. Norris getting the P7, so brilliant result from McLaren, getting into the top 10. So whatever upgrade or changes they've bought, it's really pushed them up into qualifying. A good start for them, P10 and 7 for them two. Alonso in P6, I think he'll be a bit disappointed. He was beaten by Lewis Hamilton in P5. Not sure where the pace has gone in the Aston Martin. They were the ones that have, I mean, all season so far really brought the fight to Red Bull, being second and third, or you know, right in the mix, but they've dropped off. So I'm not sure if it's just they've not got the setup right in the one practice session we had ahead of this qualifying session for the race. But he'll be disappointed. Lewis Hamilton did quite a strong job in the end. He'll be quite glad it's in P5, probably the best they could have done. He's beaten the Aston Martin, and the Ferraris have just woken up again, I think, and whatever upgrade they've bought have really paid off. But it was Carlos Sainz in P4. He ran out of tyres for that session. He actually had to use an extra soft in Q3 to get out, so he ran his second run in Q3 on a used set of tyres. So that was kind of didn't really have, and to be honest, he didn't really have the pace of Charles Leclerc. And then it was Sergio Perez in third place, and then on the final run it was Charles Leclerc who went out first for the second run, followed by Max Verstappen, and it was Leclerc who pumped in mega sectors in sector 1 and 2, went on and finally got pole position for Ferrari right back at the front. It's absolutely brilliant to see. So glad to see them right up at the front again. So he beats Max Verstappen, who will start second. Charles Leclerc on pole for Ferrari. It was a mega lap. Brilliant performance from him, finally to bring Ferrari right back to the front, and hope we've got a race in our hands on Sunday, remember. So this is for the qualifying for the Sunday's Grand Prix, and tomorrow brings the excitement of the sprint qualifying, the very first sprint shootout we're calling it. That'll be early tomorrow morning, followed by the sprint race. So it'll be interesting to see how that concept works, and will we see another Ferrari on pole tomorrow? But they've stole the show today. Absolutely brilliant. Thank God we've got another team fighting up there and taking the throne off Red Bull. But that's a mega move from Ferrari, really bringing the upgrades over this 4-week break, getting right back at the front. I mean, they've been so far off. It's been really disappointing to see, but hopefully they can get a good result on Sunday now. I'm really excited and pumped now for the sprint race tomorrow, because we look like we've got a good battle on our hands, and let's see what that one plays out. But yeah, there we go. Catch me tomorrow for the sprint, first ever sprint shootout, followed by the sprint race. Let's see how that one pans out. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. I'll see you tomorrow.